going to take a natural stance, just by jumping and landing softly. And softly. There you go. Nice. And when you land, obviously your knees, your feet will want to align. If they don't align, well, that's an invitation to pay attention to that. And also, most people, when they jump, find that there's a difference. How it feels when you keep your hands this way versus jumping like that. Right. Interesting, isn't it? So, in a sense, it kind of changes your perception of weight. Maybe it's a subjective change, but it's still an important shift. And then what happens in addition to that, of course, is the alignment of the head. There is a simple way to align the head by simply grabbing yourself with the tips of the ears and gently tugging straight up towards the ceiling, bringing the real top of the head on top. Now, once you've done that, notice how suddenly it's easier to breathe. If there was any misalignment of the neck or head, it was actually impeding breath. If you realign the head and the neck, it also most likely realigns the thoracic, the rib cage, and so basically creates openness for breathing to be easier. Let's see how we can keep the eyes either fully closed or half closed, and just imagine going for a walk in the woods, somewhere where there are old trees, some of which perhaps have been growing in one and the same place for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Imagine coming to one of those trees and touching its bark, giving it a hug. I'm just imagining what it would be like to be the tree yourself. Imagine what it would be like to grow in the same place for many years, decades, hundreds of years, maybe even thousands. Growing branches up in the air, providing shelter to generations of birds and animals, and growing roots in the ground that give you support and nourishment. As you imagine growing your roots deeper, you can visualize them growing through different layers of topsoil and dirt, going deeper. The rocks, underground waters, all the way down to magma in the middle of planet Earth. Imagine your roots growing even deeper to the very center of our planet, where they can tap into the energy center of the Earth and allow this benevolent energy to flow up the roots into your trunk, empowering and energizing each and every cell of your body. As well as letting go of any old and stagnant energies you no longer need, so that they can be carried into the center of planet Earth, or they can be recycled and made useful again. And when you feel like you receive all the energy necessary at this particular moment in your life from Mother Earth, and then you begin retracting your roots from the center of planet Earth, going back to all the layers of magma, underground waters, rocks, and topsoil, retracting them all the way back into your feet as you regain the much-shaped form. Still remembering what it's like to be grounded and totally connected to the element Earth energy. And whenever you feel ready, this experience for you. Just a few minutes of meditation. Simple standing meditation obviously can be done for longer. As I mentioned, we always try to emphasize the idea of practicing for a shorter amount of time, but more frequently rather than for a long time in one sitting. Obviously, it can be done throughout the day, sometimes several times a day, and you can mix and match. You can combine it, for example, with yawning exercise and lucid daydreaming practice. So then instead of visualization that we just went through, you can simply allow yourself to stand in meditation and experience the benefits of lucid daydreaming. Makes sense, right? It's a simple approach to meditation that also means it doesn't require any trappings, such as meditation space, cushions, bells and whistles. It can be done pretty much anywhere. Without jumping and landing too many times, you will not even attract any attention. So as long as you are not bothering anyone, you can even do it in public. I've done it even in such odd places as standing in a bank in a queue or in a casino, because I had a friend from Saskatchewan who was a medicine man, and he loved to gamble. I didn't particularly like to gamble, but I was accompanying him to some of the trips to the casino, especially when he would win a bunch of money. And it was kind of fun because I would actually practice Qigong in the casino. I don't think a lot of people do that in that kind of environment. So, let's see how we can do a little bit of movement practice now. Since you're already standing more or less in a natural stance, let's see how we can engage the movements of the hips, making circular motions as if you're spinning a hula hoop. The idea is to translate the movement of the hips into the movement of the head. So the head, instead of being animated by contracting the neck muscles while the torso is standing still. In this case, the head is being animated by the movements of the torso, so the neck muscles are relaxing, allowing the movement to translate from torso to the head rather than tensing out. That's one of the key principles of harmonic sculpture movement. We move through relaxation rather than through tension. I'm sure naturally your breathing will also want to synchronize with the movements of your body. And just allow it to happen. After you've done a dozen or so revolutions in one direction, feel free to rotate the hips in the opposite direction. And of course, the head would follow suit. You're welcome to experiment with gradually increasing the range of motion of your head and neck. So they can make larger and larger circles. So it's a pretty simple move, right? Let's do another simple move. We're going to roll one shoulder following the other forward. We're not doing it just standing still and wiggling the shoulders. We're also moving the hips. So the hip moves the shoulder. As I shift the weight to the left, for example, my left hip hikes up, and then it translates into motion of the shoulder up and then forward and down. As I shift the weight to the right side, same thing happens there. can amplify the circles a little bit more, making them a little bit wider. Explore the range of motion of your shoulders in this way. And whenever you're ready, reverse the rotation. So you're rolling shoulders following one following the other in the opposite direction. You can amplify the rotation of the shoulders, making larger circles. It's a great exercise not only for the shoulders but also for the spine, as you can probably tell. You can feel how there's this snake-like movement of the spine, right? Great. Let's do more with it. Let's see how you can make circular movements with the shoulders together. And as you can see it in profile, I'm making wave-like motion with my spine, sending waves from pelvis up into the shoulders. Could go even further into the cervical spine and the head, but I don't want to give myself a whiplash, and I don't recommend doing that. So instead of sending this energy to the neck, you can reroute it into the shoulders. I'm sure I don't have to tell you how to breathe. Your body will naturally want to synchronize the physical actions with the physiology, which means physiology and physical actions will actually be supporting each other, which is a great thing. See how you can reverse the rotation so you're rolling both shoulders backwards now. All right. Let's see how we can swing both arms back and forth using the hips to animate the arms. And amplify this movement so the arms start making circles in the shoulder disc. Making these movements with total relaxation of the shoulder muscles is a little bit of a challenge for most people, but once you learn how to translate the movement of the torso to the movement of the arms, you will feel how it's easy. Obviously, shoulder muscles get tired after a dozen revolutions, so it means you're not translating the movement of the torso into your arms. Something needs more attention. And the reverse. Let's go forward. Almost like a smooth butterfly style, except the palms are not backwards. Because in butterfly, obviously, to push the water. But if your palms are backwards, for example, in this arm, notice how it's going to get stuck in the shoulder. If the palm is forward, it doesn't get stuck. Makes sense, right? So what do you do with the palms when you do the circular movements? You turn them forward. As you can hear, my breathing obviously is working in sync with my arm movements. If it's too fast for you, you can also slow down the arm movement so you don't hyperventilate. Let's see how we can bring both hands above your head. And now the right arm is going to rotate forward, and the left one is going to rotate backwards. So. So almost. From here, the right goes forward and the left goes back. And then turn to the right and continue this motion. And turn to the left and continue. And to the right. Hands stay on their respective sides and to the left. And to the right. And to the left. You might stay the course. There you go. Yeah. Stay on the right hand. What is it doing on the left side? Stay to the right side. Yeah, there you go. Just turn to the right and continue. And continue. Yes. You continue. Yeah, there you go. Almost. Let's switch. So the left arm goes forward and the right arm goes backwards. So from here, from hands above the head, left arm goes forward and the right arm goes backwards. Imagine that there are two canvases that are hanging in your mid-sagittal plane. It's the plane that divides the body in half, the right and left sides. So there's one canvas here that I can paint a semicircle on with one arm. And there's another canvas behind me that I also paint another semicircle on. And then I switched, so I paint semicircle with one hand on this canvas, the other hand on the other canvas. Alright, so the left arm is going from up here. Left arm goes forward and the right goes back. And then turn your torso to the left and to the right. And to the left and to the right. And to the left and to the right. Simple, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Right, well, it's simple. It may not be easy, but it's really simple.
Okay.
Let me see.
Like this. And then like this.
Not quite. Okay, so to make this a little bit easier for you guys, there is a little baby step move that actually helps you learn how to do this. If you just bring your elbows out to the sides and hands up. Now, let's see how you can make both hands go to the right and down and to the left and up and right, down, left, up, right, down, left, up. See if you can add a little bit more of movement of your torso, making the circles larger and larger and larger. And so now one of your arms is making circles forward and the other one is making circles backwards. Yes, it's like a wax on, wax off kind of move, only on steroids. So you're not just doing it like this, you're doing it like this. Okay, so once again, both hands are above your head, and the left one is going forward, and the right is going back. And then turn to the left, and hands stay on their respective sides. Very good. And continue. Right, good, back. And continue the circle. Yes, very good. And continue. And continue. Yes, nice. Right goes back, left goes forward. There you go, you're doing it. Yeah. So from, see how your left hand crossed over to your right. If you don't let your left hand cross over the center line, so yeah, so from here, the right hand goes forward, left goes back. And turn the whole body to the right, and continue the circle. Yes. And turn to the left, and continue, and turn to the right. And continue. There you go. Nice.
So that's going too far.
Yes. So notice how your right arm is making circles backwards. So forward Right arm is going forward, and left arm is going backwards. There you go. Just like that. Cool. Trust me, there are plenty of people who took weeks, if not months, to figure out this simple book. One guy I taught private sessions every week. It took almost 6 months. And he was a well-trained martial artist. I don't know exactly why it's difficult for some people and easy for others. I think it's about communication between the right and left hemispheres of the brain, corpus callosum. Some people have more neurons going on there, some less. Basically, we want to have more communication going on, because the more communication we have between the right and left hemispheres, the more functional we are as a person with a full brain. There you go, yeah.
So if they're coming together, something's
Yes,
crossing.
you're doing great.
So if I'm over here, with both hands,
Yes,
this hand
so the right arm
over
is
there.
going forward, left one is going backwards. Perfect.
So I notice you really stretch out.
There you go.
I
See, I did it again.
the way I can do it too is basically just gravity. As soon as, one forward, one back, gravity just drops it.
Yes,
And then it's just one back out.
that's
Dropping it
exactly
in.
what we do with harmonious culture movement. We use gravity and momentum as much as humanly possible. Great. It's going to be a homework.
Another one.
Yes.
Can we have a little more?
Let's see how we can play a little bit more with flexibility. Now, you know how in yoga, maybe you have seen, maybe you've done some yoga, they call this the eagle pose. They also do this with their legs. We're not going to do that just because it's silly. Instead, we're going to make circular movements with the whole body, like so. Basically, we explore a range of motion of our shoulders, but in this case, the shoulders are kind of stuck. And since we can't move the arms in relation to the torso, well, fine, we'll move the torso instead. I'm sure I don't have to remind you about synergizing or synchronizing movements of the body with breathing. Sure, it just naturally happens in itself, right? Whenever you're ready, feel free to alternate the position of your arms. You've got one on top, and reverse the rotation of your torso. Did you forget which one was on top?
I was putting an elbow in the wrong direction, trying to go the other. I'm like, it wasn't working.
Gee. We'll have our pose, I suppose.
Okay. This is not the only yoga pose that we bastardized. There's another one called the cow pose. I don't know if any cows have ever done this, but this is what we're doing. We're grasping the hands behind the back if you can. If you can't, then you can use a belt or towel or whatever else you may find suitable.
You do it on one side more or less, and the other side, I got to,
So don't torture yourself, just find the edge of the comfort zone. That's what we're doing. We're exploring the edge of the comfort zone, not torturing ourselves. But once you've found the edge, then see how you can wiggle your hips once again as though you're spinning a hula hoop in whichever direction you want. on top, and reverse the rotation on your hips. Right. So as you can see, we're going from head to toes. So let's move on a little bit closer to the toes. Next juncture would be our hips. And we're going to make circular movements with the left leg from outside inwards, as if you're swinging the leg over a bicycle seat, like so. One of the things that I always like to point out is that a lot of people who do these moves, for example, in martial arts or other disciplines, rely on the flexibility of only one hip joint, that hip joint that they're whose leg they're lifting. But you can actually double your flexibility all of a sudden by actually tilting the torso away from the rising leg, so that both of your hip joints are involved. Now, you may notice how your flexibility suddenly feels a lot greater because you're no longer stretching and compromising just one joint. Also, tilting the torso away from the rising leg gives you stability, because the leg is actually a pretty heavy thing. If the center of mass is somewhere around here, it means this is 50% of the mass, and that is 50% of the mass, which means this is 25 and this is 25%. Now, if you're lifting your leg up, you need to counterbalance it somehow. Since the torso is twice as heavy as the leg, you only need to tilt it as half as much. So, for example, if you're lifting the leg up here, you only need to tilt the torso only half the angle. So essentially, it's like a median line of the angle between your thighs. The torso stays in alignment with. Yeah, just like that. Excellent. This, by the way, includes not only the lumbar and thoracic spine, it also includes the cervical spine and the head. So the head is okay to tilt in the same direction where the torso is tilting.
You know, time equals to the right. When you get nervous, right?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, switch to the opposite leg. Alright. And now we're going to reverse. So if we were making movements from outside inwards, now we're going to switch and make movements from inside outwards, like so. Right. How about the other leg? Remember, we're exploring the full range of motion of our hips, other joints. It basically means that we want to cover as much territory as we can. So if your leg comes up here, but you're only making movements down here, you're not really exploring the full range of motion. Let's see how we can move on to the knees. So we'll bring your feet closer together, both hands and kneecaps, and just add the circular movements of your knees in whichever direction you like first. continue. Let's bring the ball of the right foot on the ground, keeping the heel up in the air, and make circular movements with the ankle of the right foot in whichever direction you like. First, using not just the ankle but the whole leg to animate the foot. It's also a nice exercise for bringing back to life the joint of the big toe. Some people complain about either gout or various other issues with the big toe joints and ball foot. So this is an easy way to bring attention to, because obviously you're pressing against the floor with it, and you can also reverse the rotation. So if you want clockwise, for example, now let's go counterclockwise. Right. Switch to the opposite foot. Forget about exploring the full range of motion of the ankle. So the ankle is making full circles. Sometimes you may experience tension in your lower leg muscles, so the ankle doesn't want to make a nice circle, but maybe try to cut corners or create corners. Originally, there is no corners. There are no corners in circles, but you want to make sure that they're as circular as they can be. When you're ready to switch direction, go ahead and reverse.
You put majority of the weight on the other back foot.
Yes, it is. All right. Now, let's bring the left foot way further forward than the right foot, and bring the toes of the right foot. Yeah. So toes of the right foot directly forward, so that the left and the right would be in alignment. It's almost like you're skiing. And now we're going to violate the principle of rooting. We're going to lift the back heel up in the air, working against gravity, contracting the calves. And then release the tension of the calves and drop them down. And let's repeat this a few times. Now, while we are uprooting our back heel, we want to stay stable, otherwise we'll fall over. So the principle of stabilization is very much in place. It's aligned with the toes of the weight-bearing foot. All right. Just to humor me, before you switch feet, check the status of your legs and tell me if you notice any difference between the right versus the left. Interesting, isn't it?
Quite a bit, actually.
What do you notice?
This one's tight and heavier, I would say.
Uh-huh.
And maybe more energetic compared to this one being empty.
Well, let's switch to the other side. See if we can do the same thing. Lifting the heel up in air, working against gravity, and then releasing tension on the calves and dropping the heel down. Of course, you can also synchronize it with your breath, so you contract on inhalation and relax on exhalation. Okay. Now we worked on the calf. abs. How about the muscles antagonists? Well, we have shins. Let's see how we can do something that most people never do in their lives. Bring the top of the foot down on the floor. And just like that. Obviously, you need to bend the knee of the standing leg. And remember about the principle of grounding. Distributing weight on the center of the standing foot. And keeping it on the center line also. Now what we're going to do is we're going to wiggle the back foot. Just going from side to side and exploring the full range of motion of the leg there. Now we're ready to switch to the opposite side. And let's do the same thing. Wiggling the foot from side to side, exploring the full range of motion. If you had any difficulties sitting in Seiza or in Vajra position this morning, this will take care of it. You'll actually train your shin muscles, to the tibialis anterior, to become more relaxed, longer. We'll actually have no problem sitting like that. Let's see how we can do a few movements with our hands and arms. So let's bring both hands closer together in a prayer-like position and shift the fingers of the right hand about half an inch higher than the left. What we're going to do is we're going to apply pressure with the hands against each other. Now obviously the right hand has the upper hand, quite literally, and can push more towards the left elbow. Here you can experiment with turning fingers forward and downwards. Explore range of motion. And bring them back up. And turn them inwards like so. And repeat it a couple times. You tired of standing?
Yeah, my leg hurt, my back hurt. Yeah.
Your leg
If I
hurt?
stand too long, my lower back hurt.
That's not good.
If I sit down a little bit, it will help.
I see. Let's see if you can do the same thing with the left hand now, having an up hand. So you apply pressure towards the right elbow. Okay. Now we're going to perform the arm war. Essentially, turn the thumb of the right hand down and bring the thumb of the left hand to the crease of the right wrist. All the fingers of the left hand go on top of the right knuckles and apply the pressure on the knuckles, or vice versa. Knuckles can press against the fingers, contracting the extensor muscles, and then relaxing them, bringing the hands closer to your torso. You can combine contraction with inhalation and relaxation with exhalation. So obviously, we can't do these things to other people. This was basically a supreme pronation. Now, if somebody is doing it to you, and you have done it enough to yourself, you'll be just smiling at them. Because if you just twist my arm, for example, would you?
No.
Okay, go ahead and twist my arm. Go ahead.
He's just looking at
Yeah, I'm just looking at it because it's not a big deal at all. Like, this does not bother me whatsoever. Why? Because I'm flexible like this. It's like, I've done it enough to myself, so you doing it to me makes no difference. And there is also another principle that we use. Like, if you twist my arm, I do this. I turn my center line to my hand. Now, guess what? My hand feels a lot stronger. All of a sudden, you will not be able to take me down, even if you continue twisting. Go ahead. It feels strong. If I didn't turn my center line to my hand, you would be able to continue twisting. And the further away from my center line my hand is, the weaker it is. So you can easily take somebody down, just taking the hand behind their back, and down he goes, we'll get arrested. Gosh, I have a really hard time arresting him because they can twist my arm, quite literally. Now, if you do this enough to yourself, you know very well how it feels, and you learn how to do it on your center line. You don't do it over there, you do it over here. You can also train to do this to yourself, so if you get a hold of another person's hand, you know how to do it to them. So if you get a hold of somebody's hand, you know exactly how to grab it and how to twist it. It's almost like a second nature thing. Obviously, we're also exploring flexibility of our extensors muscles. Now we're going to switch to flexors. Flexors are the muscles, or actually we're going to switch to the pronators first. We are going to work with hand pen. Now the hand pen is where one thumb is up, the other one is up as well. The pinky and the ring finger of the left hand go to the crease of the wrist, and the left thumb goes on top of the right pinky knuckle. So it basically gives you a really nice leverage to pin somebody's hand down. That's why we call it a hand pen. However, again, if you do it enough times to yourself, this becomes no big deal. Again, you can push with the knuckle of the pinky against the thumb, contracting the supinators, and then releasing the tension as you exhale. There are movements like this in Aikido and several other styles of martial arts. However, I like Aikido. I have a black belt in Aikido. I understand how it works and everything. But I don't understand why they do this. In the beginning of the class, everybody grabs their own hand and do this. That makes no freaking sense. Just because you are not going to get any more flexible because of this. You can actually hurt yourself. So what we do is not fast movements, trying to just bounce up and down. It's a very mindful movement. You contract the muscle, pushing the pinky knuckle against your thumb, and then releasing that tension and let that muscle lengthen. Okay, well, that's the difference between stretching and lengthening, right there. We'll dive into it a little bit more today, too. Very well. So this is the hand pen. Done on both sides, correct? Let's see how you can interlock the fingers of both hands. As if you are holding a little energy ball, the size of a tennis ball between your palms. So what we're going to do is roll the wrists forward around this energy ball. Both wrists. The right wrist is doing great, though. Yeah, let's not forget to roll the left wrist as well. Yeah, that's it. That's the moment. And now we're going to stop and notice which index finger or thumb is on top. We're going to change so that the opposite one is on top. For many people, it may feel weird or outright uncomfortable because you're not used to it. That's okay. We're going to undo all kinds of stereotypes in our bodies. So let's roll the wrist backwards now.
Almost tried to reverse go.
So by backwards, I mean this. You're holding the wrists around this energy ball, and you roll them up and back, up and back. Yeah, you're rolling forward. So can you reverse that motion? Yeah, that's it. Okay. Great. You got it. So let's see how we can play a little bit more with our movements associated with not only exploration of range of motion, but also flexibility. Let's see how we can first just check where we are in terms of flexibility. No need to do splits. Let's see if you can put your feet wider apart, and just to find out for yourself how wide they can go. You can bring your hands to the floor if you need to, and just experiment and find out what can be your edge of the comfort zone. Don't push yourself over the edge, just find the edge. Very good. So that's your edge. How about the movement where you bring center line more towards the toes of one leg? You can drop the knee on the ground that way. And just see how that's going. Yeah. It can be a bit challenging, so don't overdo it. Don't overstretch. Just make sure that you're exploring rather than doing some particular backward split. Do you feel like one leg is more flexible than the other?
Yeah.
A little bit?
A little bit.
Actually, definitely. Well, maybe that's because I just was on that one and went back.
Doesn't want to straighten. Okay. So what we're going to do next is something very interesting. We are going to sit down with the feet still wide apart, and we are going to find the edge of the comfort zone by walking with the fingertips forward. And on the carpet, on the rug, we can actually make a mark where the edge of your comfort zone is at the moment. Very nice. As a matter of fact, you can continue this line all the way to the opposite foot. You see how you can walk your fingers along this line. It can be a curved line. And grab a hold of the opposite foot, or one of your feet, and just simply rock it. Rocking the leg in the hip socket. The idea is to turn your toes as if they are windshield wipers, moving them from about 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, with the go even further, maybe from 10 to 2 o'clock. You can also synchronize breathing with this rocking motion. And whenever you're ready to do the same thing on the other side, slowly walk your fingers along that same line, curved line, and go all the way to the opposite foot. Grab a hold of that foot, and also rocking your leg from side to side turning the foot as if it's the windshield wiper. From 10 to 2 o'clock. Okay. Now let's walk fingers again to the front and center. Notice how they're not quite in the same position where they were in the very beginning when you sit down. Notice the difference? That much? Cool. What's yours? That much? Awesome. So, did you notice any difference?
Very tough, this one. This is probably the hardest one for me.
Ah. Well, if it's harder, guess what? It actually needs more attention.
That's where it started.
Yeah.
It's right where you are. And in 5 months, well,
Yeah.
if I practice more at home, these go wider, and then it can go up further.
Yeah.
I could only go to here when I started.
It's kind of an interesting thing because if you don't use it, you lose it when it comes to flexibility.
Yeah.
The muscle just tend to shrink, become shorter. You also lose muscle mass, and interestingly enough, as people lose muscle mass, they don't become more flexible. We always talk about how weakness and tension go hand in hand. Tension is not a sign of strength, it's a sign of weakness. If we lose muscle mass and become weaker, we don't become more relaxed, we become more tense. It's like people who become older usually don't become more flexible. Now, what we experience as a result of this practice is basically a reversal of that aging process. Now, who wouldn't want that? So, from here, let's bend the right leg, keeping the leg straight out. So bend the right leg so you bring the foot as close to the crotch as you can. And now with the right hand over your head, lean towards your left foot. See how far you manage to get. You can also add some rocking motion. Rocking from side to side in sync with your breathing. Don't stretch. Just explore the edge of your comfort zone. Nice. And whenever you're ready, switch to the other side. Extending the right leg, bending the left. And with your left hand over your head, go towards the right foot. Of course, you can also add rocking from side to side, like we did on the other side. Exploring flexibility of our obliques. Obliques are the muscles on the sides of your torso, connecting your ribs to your pelvic ball. If the obliques are really short, they obviously limit your mobility. Both mobility of your hips, mobility of your ribs, mobility of the entire trunk. So we want to have obliques flexible and relaxed, but strong. So we'll be working on increasing strength of our obliques too. Now, if you bring both feet as close to the crotch as possible together, this is where we can also work on our gracilis muscles, adductors. So as you hold onto your toes, extend your elbows sideways. And see how you can apply pressure onto your elbows with your inner thighs. So you're not pressing down with your elbows, no, you're pressing up with your legs.
The opposite of karate.
The opposite of karate, yes.
Or at least when I went.
That's the ubiquitous thing that people do in many martial arts. karate, taekwondo, kung fu, many different styles. They basically do this really, really silly move. Some of them refer to it as the butterfly exercise. They flap their wings and they think this is going to be a good thing. Well, sorry to tell you, it's not going to be a good thing because it is very likely to overstretch your groin muscles. The reason why it gets easily overstretched is because when you make a dynamic movements like this, you may not notice once you get to the edge of the comfort zone, you have momentum that will carry you over the edge. And when you push yourself over the edge, you stretch. And when you stretch, you get a stretch reflex, which basically leads to greater tension in your gracilis muscles and other muscles of the groin, which is going to make it difficult to walk and basically incapacitate the person as a martial artist for quite a while. That's why we don't do this kind of flapping of the wings. We contract these muscles and then relax them. Let the gravity do its thing. Also, let the gravity let you lean the torso forward and down. Again, pressing with your knees or inner thighs up on the elbows on inhalation, and then on exhalation, release and drop. A couple more times. Okay, so as long as you didn't overstretch them, you should be fine. Now, what we're going to do next is really interesting. It may remind you of another yoga pose. We're going to turn this way, keeping the right leg bent. Okay, you can keep the left leg bent at the knee in front of you, and keep the opposite leg straight behind you. Now, I invite you to bring the left toes, if your left leg is bent, or right toes, if your right leg is bent in front of you, towards the opposite hip. Yeah, kind of like that. And now we're going to just rock from side to side. Or you can also push into the ground with your knee, releasing the pressure on your hands, maybe even lifting your hands up. And then relaxing the muscles of the glutes and dropping down. Obviously, you can combine that with inhalation on contraction of the glutes and exhalation on relaxation. All right. Now we're ready to switch sides. Go ahead and bend your left leg, straighten your right. And do the same thing on this side. Either rocking from side to side, shifting the weight from right to left and back, or contract the muscles of the glutes, pushing the knee down into the floor, releasing the pressure on your hands. And then relaxing and dropping the torso forward again. Obviously, it goes really well with inhalation on move up and exhalation on move down. Okay. Great. Now, let's see how we can do augment the Seiza pose. Now, instead of sitting on our heels, we're going to put the feet wider apart so that your hips can fit between your heels. Just like that. Here you can walk your hands backwards, slowly and carefully, not to overstretch. You don't want to overstretch your quads or hip flexors. You just want to find the edge of the comfort zone. And then when you come back up, hold on to your toes so that your butt doesn't stick up in the air, and then move forward. Nice. For some people, it's easier to go backwards. For some people, it's easier to go forward. Rarely, it's equally easy to go both ways. Yeah. So, how do you guys feel so far? Good. Good. Interesting practice, isn't it? Great practice to do at home if you have maybe 20, 30 minutes of time to dedicate to it. Even if you don't have that much time, you don't have to do the whole thing in one sitting.